Hey, good morning, Alice. How's it going? Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy 4th of July. Getting my paints ready. Hope y'all are doing well. My voice is a little scratchy this morning. I apologize. I mean, not that I can help it, but been a little under the weather. Not coronavirus, just kind of like a regular head cold, just a throat thing. Just more annoying than anything else. But good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well today. Happy 4th of July. Got my Cappy Thompson mug with the fireworks. Very appropriate for 4th of July celebrations today. I know that celebrating is going to look a little different this year for everybody. It's normally probably the biggest holiday that we do in my family. A lot of my siblings will come home from across the country. And this year, obviously, no one wants to travel anywhere and shouldn't travel anywhere for health and safety reasons. So we're still going to try to bring the spirit of the holiday into backyard botanical art today. So that's what we're going to do. I've got these gorgeous red geraniums, which this is my way of doing something that's celebratory for 4th of July. Because if you look at them, I feel like they look like these exploding fireworks. So the little ones with just the buds, they're like these. Doop. Yeah, there we go. Like a firework that's just come up and starting to explode out. And then the way that the full blooms are on here, it's like this big puffball from this little stem, and then this explosion of gorgeous deep red color. And so that's what we're doing today, is some geranium painting. I'll let everybody get with me. I'm using acrylic paints today, which is my medium of preference. So if you're painting along with me today, I'm going to be doing a variety of reds. So, but any red you have is good, right? Like, we're here to have fun and enjoy ourselves and just let our minds shut off a little bit and enjoy flowers and nature and paint. That's what we're going to do. But good morning to everybody. I'm so glad you're all here. I've got my coffee. I hope you've got yours, your tea, your water, your juice, whatever you like in the morning. Happy 4th. I will say that like I said, acrylics are my favorite. I love acrylics. But my big secret, or not really a secret, because I tell you this too, acrylics are, my neighbor just made something noisy. I apologize if that is distracting you at all. I think they're driving by, so it should be done in a second. Acrylics are something that a lot of people who are painters tend to have a distaste for. They don't like them as much. Oils are preferred because they stay wet longer. I like acrylics because they dry quickly. I like to be able to It's actually not George, Angie. That's funny. It's a house far away, and yet that is still very loud. I guess it's a lawnmower or blower, maybe. I think it's a blower, yeah. But maybe they'll be done blowing soon. Back to acrylics. They are my preferred because they dry quickly, because then I can kind of layer on top pretty quickly. But so when we're painting today, I'm going to be going based off of completely my own knowledge. This is not something that I've been trained in. So I just use brushes how I learned to use them, and I use paint how I learned to use it. But this is where I encourage you to enjoy experimenting also. Yes, brushes are made a certain way to do a certain task. They're shaped a certain way for certain things. They're a certain kind of bristle to achieve a certain brush stroke, etc. But also, without any of that knowledge, you can still just use paint and have fun, right? And that's what we're going to do today. Good morning, Brandy Morrison. Happy to see you. I'm happy everybody's here. Hope y'all are having a wonderful 4th so far. If you haven't said hi, please say hi in the comments. Hello to all of you. Let me know how your morning's going so far. And I look forward to painting with you. So I'm going to get started. Oh, and everybody say thank you to Angie for letting me borrow her geranium for today's feature. Okay. Because mine were gorgeously blooming last week, and then the heat got to them, and they're a little bit, well, they're just not blooming right now. Yeah. So I borrowed these from the museum's director, Angie Dobson. So thank you, Angie, for letting me borrow your geraniums. Alice, you're right. There are seashells on my shirt, very Fibonacci-esque. This shirt's one of my favorites. I've had this since I was in middle school, and before me it was my oldest sister's, and before my oldest sister it was my grandmother's, my mom's mom. It's a well-loved, wonderful shirt. But good morning. All right, here we go. I am starting with, you want to see how messy I am? This is my palette. It's a Tupperware lid that holds all of my paints. That's the top of it. That's the inside of it. After several years, I'll eventually peel it off and start over. But, all right. I've got, so far today, that I'm about to start with, I've got a deep red here. That's a Quinn crimson. I don't know how to, I could look at it and try to pronounce the full word. I always just call it Quinn. Quinacridone. Someone who has taken art lessons tell me. I just say Quinn. So that's a Quinn crimson. This is, same word. It's a Quinn red-orange right here. And that makes a really good deep red, or when I'm wanting it more of a burgundy or a brown for shadows. And then I've got this right here in the middle is the main that we're going to be using today, or that I'll be using today, and it's just your basic Napsol Crimson. Sorry, y'all. I've had coffee. For some reason, I'm a little groggy. I think it must be a little bit of the sickness. War Eagle, I agree, right? It's so against my nature to say the C word that I can't even get it out, right? Okay. Let's try more coffee and see if that helps y'all. Good morning. I was working on one last night just to get a feel for it. This was my start last night. It's just on a watercolor paper, which is something you can do if you don't have a canvas. I don't necessarily recommend it, just because the acrylic that already dries fast dries really fast on watercolor paper. But again, if you don't have a canvas or a canvas board, acrylic will paint on anything pretty much. So it's okay to do paper. You want it to be a little thicker, obviously, if you're going to paint on it. A watercolor paper will work. It's just going to dry a lot faster. You can paint it on cardboard. It's a very versatile medium. It's fun. All right. Everybody ready? Is anybody painting today, or you're all just watching for fun and enjoying your coffee? Getting your early celebrating going. Let's see. I'm going to move this a little bit so I can see some of these better. That's the one that I want. Right there. All right, y'all can see that? Obviously, I'm looking at it from a different angle than you, so my painting might look a little different than you, but y'all let me know if you're painting. I hope you're having a great morning, and here we go. All right, that's my shoulder. We don't want my shoulder. We want, there we go. All right. David said it's relaxing. That's wonderful. I'm glad. I hope so. And I hope that that neighbor stops with the blower soon. I should send out a notice to all my neighbors before I do botanical art and ask them to not make noise from the hour of 9:30 to 10:30 on Saturday mornings. It's a very strange, quiet hour, but all right. I'm going to start with this little guy. All right, so not super tiny, but pointy enough for me to kind of feel like I'm drawing with my paint. We're not using anything other than paint today, okay? When I get to details, I'm going to use a really tiny little baby. That's this one. Real small. And then, so you can also tell that my brushes have been through a lot. They're well loved. But like I said, I use them how I need them, and they work for me great. They've been in water just a couple times. All of that coating is broken off. All right, so this one for details, and then this is what I'm going to use for beginning. You'll find that different things work for you that don't work for me, right? We're all different. That's why I don't put too much emphasis on like sizes of brush and shape of brush, because different things work for different people. I know it's hard to tell in this mess, but bear with me. So I've got a little bit of the Naphthol Crimson, kind of slathered it on here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take this paint, all right? And I'm gonna dip it into my water just a little bit. It's not like crazy dripping, but it's moist now. And I'm gonna use that to draw my shape. So just like we would start any other lesson, any other week with a pencil, I'm starting it with paint on a paintbrush today that is kind of pointed and shaped like a pencil, okay? And I'm gonna break it down the exact same way that I would if I was drawing. So I'm gonna look at my flower. Let me get her on camera here. Let's see. All right. I'm gonna look at my flower and then just kind of take petal by petal to get my shape down. Stay. You can do it. Perfect, perfect. Y'all can kind of see that too, so that works out really well. So I'm working with this guy right here to begin. So same as if I was drawing it. We're not looking at any kind of detail yet, just shape of the petal. I don't know about y'all, but it is hot this morning in Montgomery. I'm assuming most of us are in Montgomery. I'm on my back porch, it's screened in, and it's not a pretty sight. Let me be happy you can just see the flower. All right, petal one, sort of, a little bit behind that. Again, I've got water and paint on my brush to kind of keep it really flowy. And I'm just trying to get the general shape down. So I'm using lines a lot right now. I've not seen my darling Whitney Gagnon yet. Angie, yes, I broke your flower off. Wait, ask Brandy. You can't make me laugh when I am dealing with this. I'm going to start coughing. All right. If you're following along, don't stress out about going as quickly as I'm going. Keep in mind that flowers and painting flowers is the main thing that I do for my own enjoyment. But I am just trying to get this on here so we can move on with real paint. It's kind of like a sketch with the paint, okay? So some of this is going to end up getting covered up. Don't worry about it right now. We're going to essentially use paint as an eraser in just a little bit, just like if we were drawing and then needed to adjust. All right, let's see here. Remember to pay attention to angle that the petals are coming from and where they're going, what's overlapping, so what you're actually seeing versus what your brain knows is there. All right. Sorry, Angie, for breaking your flower. Here's the cool thing about flowers, they grow back. It's gonna be okay. All right, so this is flower one, and that is our basic beginning. I think it used to have a petal right here, where we're seeing this space, but it does not, and I'm gonna draw it or paint it how I see it. So I'm not worried about that right now. I could go ahead and put the sepal there, which is it'll be green. Right now it's gonna be red. The sepal, y'all, is the part, Angie, don't get upset. Here's more. The sepal is the part that, when it's a bud, is the little tiny green thing holding the flower together before it opens up. And so after it's opened up and the petals fall away, you see the sepal behind it. All right, let me catch up with the comments. Brandy says she's been hot too. All right, hope everybody's doing good. Here we go with some more paint. Now I'm gonna just basically take paint, still working with the Naphthol Crimson, I'm trying really hard with that word. And I'm just gonna use the same brush and fill it in. Kind of keeping a mental note of who's gonna be overlapping when we get to details. I love painting in the morning with coffee. I cannot say that I love listening to my neighbor's blower, but still relaxing in its own little way, huh? All right, so even though I've painted those in my brain, I kind of still feel I can tell where the separation is between each petal. And so what we're gonna do now, before that dries too fast, which it will dry pretty quickly because we're outside, and it already dries fast as it is, what I'm gonna do, rinsing off my brush, and I'm going to find some of the depths, okay? So I'm gonna find where the dark reds are, the deeper reds. And before I mix anything yet, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some of this, right here, the Quinn Red Orange I mentioned earlier, and I'm getting that on my brush. I'll show you in a second. There it is. All right. And I'm gonna use that to kind of get a feel for where my darker spots are gonna be. Okay, so I've got an overlapping petal right here. So underneath it, there's gonna be some darker spots in there. It's very subtle right now. I'm not trying to do any major details. I'm just getting a guideline for where my paint's gonna be going. All right, reapplying a little paint. Since I'm working with this wet paint onto the other wet paint, I don't want it to completely replace it. I want it to blend, so I need to take a couple breaks and add more paint to my brush. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more on the painting so y'all can see. There we go. All right. So this petal is in front of this one, and there's a shadow back behind it. So I'm going to use that again to just kind of get a feel for where that darker part is, the whole way down. It just said it paused for a second due to poor connection, so let me know if you can still see me okay and hear me okay. Give me an update. If I've lost you, I need to know. I hope I haven't. So I'm just kind of going around to each one and filling in, or laying the groundwork, if you will, the foundation for where my darker shadows are going to be. I can tell in person. I hope y'all are able to see what I'm doing. It's very subtle on the screen right now. But that's what I want. I just kind of want it to be a rough idea of where these different darker areas are. Where the implied depth is, okay? A visual depth. All right. To strengthen those, I'm rinsing off my brush. Rinse, rinse, rinse. To strengthen those, I'm actually going to create a neutral, but not a full neutral. I'm not going to make it brown. I'm going to use some green. I guess I should get it on my palette. I'm going to use today, let's see, who do I want? I think I'm just going to use a hooker's green, which is your pretty basic green. Almost, if you do take any painting classes, it's a green that's going to be on the list from your teacher. Right here is my hooker's green. So it's a darker green, but when you mix it with other colors, it can become pretty lovely too, depending on how you mix it. Oh my gosh, y'all, the blower is getting closer. I apologize. Okay, but maybe that means he's almost done. All right, so we zoom out just a little bit, so you can see what I'm gonna mix. All right, so here's my green. I'm gonna scoop it up. I'm gonna move it a little closer to the red. This is just what I do when I'm mixing. All right, rinsing off my brush. Forgot to get a paper towel ready, so I'm grabbing one right now. All right. And then I'm going to go back to that red that I started with, the Naphthol Crimson, and I'm putting it right next to it, okay? So here's what I'm working right here. This Hooker's Green, this Naphthol Crimson, and right here I'm going to just kind of play with them a little bit to mix it. I don't want it to be like brown. I don't want it to be on the greener side, but I also don't want it to be like mauve, if you will. Let's test it out right there. That's a nice color. I'll add a little more red. All right. Y'all, the other thing about acrylics is that they do dry darker than they are when they're wet. People like oils also because they are so true to color. Acrylics will dry a little darker. So I'm not going to use this everywhere. I'm just using it in some of the places where the really darker shadows are going to be coming across, okay? I'm just kind of getting it in there very lightly. I'm hardly touching my brush to the painting, y'all, okay? So that's the one thing that when I'm teaching students with painting, it's about kind of also learning your own control of your hand. All right, so I've got the main places where I wanted that really dark on here. I'm gonna very quickly rinse off my brush. Rinse, rinse, rinse. And then I'm gonna kind of dry it. I want it to be slightly damp, but not dripping. Okay, so my brush is not dripping, but it's not dry either, all the way. And I'm gonna actually go back now, just like we've done with watercolors, and I'm gonna blend those in. Now, if you get to the point where it's just taking the paint away and it's not really blending, that's okay. You just need to experiment a little bit more, or you can even get a little bit more of the Naphthol and go back on top of that. So what I mean when I say I'm blending here is I'm just kind of pulling it in, pulling that darker kind of neutral that I made into the other shadow. Because we want that subtle gradation, right? We don't want it to be so shocking. That's looking really nice. Okay, how's everybody doing at home? If you're painting along. I'm gonna rinse off my brush now. We're moving really fast, but if we're gonna try to at least get a full flower and a stem done today, that's what we've gotta do. I'm gonna take a quick little coffee break. Hi. Okay, what I want to do now is get some of the lighter values on my petals. All right, so we're continuing this, creating the gradations of value and getting the different levels of depth of the flower, okay? So here's my white. Whoop, there it is, okay? And as anybody will, I'm just using a titanium white. I do have an unbleached titanium out also, just in case I need it. And all that is, y'all, is something that kind of looks beigey. So it's not the crisp white that a titanium white is. And what I'm going to do is, still using this brush, I'm going to now, just like I did with the green and the red a second ago, I'm going to scoop up some white. Whoop. Hold on, let me zoom out, y'all. There we go. All right, I've scooped up some white, and here's the red I'm working with, so I'm going to put it around here where my little pinker area is. Right there. And then I'm going to take just a little bit. That might even be too much, to be honest. This is one thing that you really have to learn and talk to my students about a lot when we're doing paint. Red is very powerful, and can be overpowering. And so when you're trying to make a pink, you can always add more, but once you got it, you can't take away, right? Similar, like if you're making a shadow with black, you can always add more and make it darker, but you can't always, or you can't take it away once you've added it. So start with a little. If you want it darker, add a little more. All right, so remember to keep looking at your flower to make sure you're getting the right color too. Because remember, we're looking for, especially in botanical art, even though this is a little bit more floral, I'm not being so precise. This isn't going in like a reference guide. I still want it to be accurate, okay? So I've got kind of a pinky reddish, all right? You're not gonna get like a pink using a naphthol, but it's prettier. Y'all hear me say this, it's way prettier than a cadmium red and white. Not my favorite. All right, personal preference, to each their own. Okay. So here's the color I've got, and I'm going for this overlap of a petal right over here. Which again, I don't think you can quite see the striking difference on camera that you can see in person, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just paint this where I've already defined where that overlap is. And all I'm doing now is I'm creating the idea of, I'm giving that petal its shape and continuing to define its definition of depth. All right, not that many other places on this flower are as light as that one overturned petal, but there are some areas near the center that turn a little white to pink. So I'm gonna get a little bit more of that on my brush. I hope y'all are painting inside. If you're painting, y'all, I am sweating. Thank you, Cheryl. It is like magic, isn't it, right? Isn't it so crazy how just 3 different paint colors, they're not really colors, just values next to each other, create this visual illusion. It's so neat. All right, so I've got that same, a little bit of white and Naphthol Crimson on my brush, and I'm coming in and I'm just gonna kind of touch where some of the center is, okay? And this is just for accuracy of how the flower looks. All right, I don't want to paint over it this way because one, I don't want to smudge it the wrong way. So what I'm going to do is flip my canvas around. Let me remember which one I'm working on. That one, okay. And this is a good trick for if you want to be. I want to make sure that I'm continuing to use the point of my brush. And if I try to come at it from this angle, I am inevitably going to flatten my brush more, and it's not going to stay as precise or pretty. Okay. So I flipped my canvas around a little bit just so I can get in here and continue to create that center where the geranium petals are a little lighter and pink. All right, doesn't take much, just a little touch. I'm just kind of continuing to go over it, and what it's actually doing is blending in with the paint that was already there. I'm a pretty thick paint applier, so acrylic stays damp with me a little longer than it might with others. But again, I've also been painting with it a long time. It's the paint that I taught myself how to paint with. And I love being able to manipulate it like that. All right, flipped back around. We're getting somewhere. Rinsing off my brush. I kind of want to bring in a little bit more of the white right down here. Inside the petals, there is actually a white where they're connecting to the stem. And I am seeing it, and so I'm going to paint it on. Y'all remember this trick? I've shown it to you with watercolors. I'm going to show it to you with acrylic again. When you want to get a good point, I'm already using a pointy brush, right? But if you want to get a good point with your paint, I'm going to kind of twirl my brush into it and lift up at the same time. And that kind of gives me a little tip point there. Angie, I wish I could get your voice. Oh, let's see. Can y'all see that? Okay. I wish I could get your voice telling me things so I didn't have to take the time to read them, but I'm going to read your comment in a second. It's not much, y'all. Again, it's very subtle, but that little detail of accuracy is what is going to help make this pop when we're done. All right. And then rinse, rinse, rinse. We're going to add some green now, y'all, because that is red and green, opposite on the color wheel, so they're complementary colors. And that means that they look really good next to each other because green does not have red in it. And so it's kind of like that opposites attract rule, right? So I'm adding to my palette, y'all, a little bit of, let me zoom out again, your basic cadmium yellow. I put that on my palette, and just in case, I'm also going to do a cad yellow light. That first cad yellow is a medium, which is pretty much your typical, if somebody says they're using cad yellow, that means that they're using a medium hue, almost always. So here's the two next to each other so you can see them. There's the yellow, the cad yellow medium, and there's cad yellow light. And if you want to see what I'm talking about, how acrylic dries darker, this is the same. This is cad yellow medium after it's dry, and this is it that I've just put out in the tube. So that is a pretty distinct difference, you know. But again, if the more you do it, the more you practice, you kind of get a feel for what it will do when it dries. So I'm going to go now use this little tiny baby that I showed you earlier, who's been more than well loved. I couldn't even tell you how many years I've had this paintbrush and been using it. It used to be very pointed, and now it's kind of sad and leaning, oh, help me. Except she loves me, so I hope she's not really saying help me. I think she likes being used to paint with. All right, so I'm going to make a few different greens. Again, we're going for accuracy because it's botanical, right? So if you look at the green on the geranium, some of it's more of a foresty, deep green. Some of it is more of like a hunter green. Some of it is a little bit more vibrant, like a yellow green. So I'm going to create a few different greens pretty quickly just by playing with that hooker green that I put on here earlier, and the yellows that I've added, and the white. Okay, so I mean, when you've got white and then different variations of certain primary colors, I mean, your choices for mixing new values and a new look of color is pretty much limitless, honestly. So I've got my hooker green here, bringing a little bit of the cad yellow light over. Whoop, that's too much. A little of the cad yellow medium. And let's figure out what colors I've got. Okay, so here's that together. That's going to be for where I have kind of a darker green. Let me add a little bit more of that yellow to it. More of like a hunter green. I'm gonna rinse my brush. Rinse, rinse, rinse. How's everybody doing? Oh, a delight. Now somebody's car alarm is going off. Y'all are getting all my neighbor sounds this morning. All right. Now I'm gonna do the cad yellow light with the hooker's green. Right here. Whoops. Oh, and that is gorgeous. That is one of my favorite combinations. Y'all, look at that. Can you see that? I know I've got like 45,000 colors going on my pretend palette here, but I love that color. I love it. And that is really great for the lighter green in the geranium. I'm not going to add any white yet. I'm going to play with these two greens that we've mixed. And what I'm going to do is the same way that I started the petals earlier, in case you weren't watching. I'm going to dip it in the water just a little bit. Bye, Angie. See you later. Have a wonderful 4th of July. If anybody else has to dip out, go right ahead, but say bye first so we can say bye to you. All right, I'm going to now paint in the sepal right here. That is dry because, again, acrylic dries quickly. Paint right on top of it. All right. There's another one down here. I can kind of just paint it in. Don't worry about if you accidentally paint over onto your petals a little bit, because the paint will dry and you can paint over it again. Not a big deal, okay? Those are the only two that I'm seeing. And then what I'm going to do is add the idea of the stem that's coming back this way. I'm going to get a little bit more water on this just to make it flow a little better. All right, and it's right there. Okay. Fun start. All right. There's a little bit of green right in the center. Down here. That's fun. Let's keep going. All right. It's 10:07. I hope everybody's having a good time. Let me know if you're painting along or drawing along, or if you're doing an entirely different flower and you're just here to be social. I'm going to add another geranium flower right here. And I'm going to go through the same exact process. So I've got a clean brush. Let's find it. I'm really bad about leaving my brushes in the water, y'all. So if I can't find it, it's pretty much like 100% guaranteed I left it in the water cup. Okay. All right, sip of coffee. Clean brush. Whoop. Naphthol crimson. Getting a little bit on there. Dipping it slightly in the water just to get it damp, not dripping. And that makes the glide a little easier. And I'm going to start creating my next flower, okay? So here, up. What I love about paint, y'all, is that you can just kind of add as you go. So kind of like how you can erase with a pencil and start over. I love that with paint you can transform it without completely erasing it, if that makes sense. So like I didn't really like the shape there, so I just kind of kept adding, and then I'll just paint over what I didn't like. Does anybody have any fun 4th of July plans? I would love to hear about them. Anybody going to be seeing any fireworks or shooting off any fireworks yourself? I know that if I had family in town, my parents are, near Montgomery, but we are not visiting them this year, just trying to stay safe and healthy. And I had a sister who was planning on coming out, my sister Alicia, who's in San Diego. But they're going to be waiting, holding off on their trip smartly also, because I'm trying to stay safe and healthy. But so yeah, let me know what your plans are. What are y'all doing? Oh, Gretchen, baking chocolate chip cookies is the fourth tradition. How do I get some of those chocolate chip cookies? Please and thank you. My fourth tradition is baking a peach cobbler, so we'll see if I do that today. I normally do it almost every year. So y'all, right now, again, I'm using my paintbrush and the paint to draw the same way I would with the pencil. So to me, I'm seeing the different parts. So like this is the part that's folding over. This is the part that's folding over. So that petal is essentially kind of like this, it's cupped like this. Kind of reminds me of a lobster claw right now. All right. I'm here. This guy is coming around this way. And this one is coming through here. And just like when we are drawing, it does not have to be perfect because we can adjust it, okay? Just relax and have fun. It's 10:11. We've got a little under 20 minutes left. So I hope you're having a good time. I will hopefully keep working on this after we are done. If not immediately, maybe later after I get to cool off a little bit. And I'll post some pictures on my art page or my personal page on Instagram. Laura Boguin, or lanb.art. While I have this lull and I'm just kind of repeating a process we've already done, let me say that next weekend, 1 week from today, July 11th, we are going to have the pleasure of having Tony as our featured artist on Local Artist Live. So y'all, please be sure to tune in here on Instagram next weekend, 10 to 10:30 for Tony. Super excited to have her as featured artist. And then this coming Wednesday, we're going to have our second installment of Creative Conversations. And that'll be on Facebook. That'll be a live stream on Facebook. And that Creative Conversations is discussing the exhibition Personal to Political. And the two artists who are both also in the exhibition who will be joining that conversation with the museum's Cassandra Cavness will have Lava Thomas and Radcliffe Bailey. So that conversation does not one to miss, y'all. It's going to be super cool. Super great opportunity for us to hear from the artists themselves. All right. That looks like a wild mess right now, but keep in mind that this is a different angle than this one, right? So this one is looking a little bit more at us, and this one is looking a little bit more up, all right? So again, like we talked about last botanical class, you have to draw it, or in this case, paint it how you see it. And so the angles of perspective need to be accurate, okay? So these petals look a little different because I'm looking at them from a different angle. All right, got my main part down. Now I'm just gonna take some of this same Naphtha Crimson and paint it in. Because there's so much overlapping because of this angle, I'm not going to paint in yet the parts that are gonna be lighter, because I want to keep that definition. I want to keep my brain focused. If you've been here from the beginning, you already heard I'm a little foggy this morning, and I don't want to mess it up during the live stream. Need some more paint on my brush. That is something, y'all, I tell my students a lot too. If you get to where you're painting and you're moving your paintbrush around and it's just barely putting paint on the canvas, then you need more paint on your brush, okay? If it starts doing it again, I'll show you what I mean. Just barely filling in here right now. And then this guy overlaps completely. Checking some comments to see what y'all are doing. Brandy says that her nephew has invited them to Smith Station for dinner and fireworks. Ooh, Are you gonna record some of those fireworks, Brandy, or maybe live stream them so I can live vicariously through you? I would love to see some fireworks. Fireworks are one of my favorite things. And Cheryl's doing a peach and blueberry cobbler. Two separate, you mean, Cheryl, right? Or peach and blueberry together? Because you're kind of blowing my mind if that's what you mean. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and define where my darker, let me do this really fast, my darker values are. Okay. I'll leave it like that so I can paint easier. Okay, so just like I did earlier, I am going to mix a little bit more of this. Let me get you on there. Whoop, there we are. Naphthol Crimson and Hooker's Green that I'm using to kind of create a nice deeper red for my areas of shadow. Don't want too much green because it's going to look kind of more of a brown or mucky. I want it to be still red, just deep. All right, so I flipped it over. Oops, let me get it where you can see it. I flipped it over so that I can work easier in this one little area right here. In just a second, I'm going to flip it right back over. Cheryl, all together. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Blueberry and peach cobbler. A blueberry peach cobbler. That's amazing. Please tell me you're going to post pictures at least. I've got to see this. I bet it'll taste delicious. Alice, y'all went hiking. That's nice. How hot was it? Because it's so gross outside. I cannot imagine doing any exercise outside right now. So I'm very impressed. Hats off to y'all. All right. Trying to stay on task with where I'm working here. Don't get myself too distracted. I'm getting distracted by food, y'all, talking about Cheryl's blueberry peach cobbler. So again, all I'm doing right now, y'all, is just finding my areas of where it's going to be a little bit darker. I can tell that the paint is starting to dry faster, so it must be getting a little hotter outside. So I'll try to move quicker. All right, I'm gonna rinse off my brush. Alice, it was below 90 yesterday? That's nice. I hope you had a wonderful hike. All right, so y'all, what I'm gonna do since my paint is drying so quickly is I'm getting more of the original Naphthol Crimson on my brush and getting a little bit more water on it. Not a lot, I don't want it dripping. And I'm gonna come back where I've just done these colors and I'm just gonna kind of use that together to blend them. And then I'm going to, y'all, I almost just stuck my paintbrush in my coffee. And it would not be the first time that I've done that. I was once painting in the evening and I had a really, really well-made vodka martini. And I totally stuck my paintbrush into my martini when I was trying to rinse. And that was a real big bummer. All right. So I'm going to do a little bit more titanium white and a touch of the naphthol to create that lighter pink. Pink is just light red. And this part isn't quite as light. So this was really light, right? This one isn't quite as light. And so I'm adding a little bit more of the naphthol to that to make it a little darker. And then I'm going to go here and paint this petal that's kind of like a cup. Let's see here. And then there's a little bit of it here too. This one's turned over. And there's pink on the inside, just like we talked about the other one. All these little petals. Let me fix that. All right, we're at 10:21. A little longer. Not quite 10 minutes, and I have found that Instagram does cut us off at 59 minutes, not a full, we don't get a full 60 minutes, even though they say we do. So we will get this flower finished up and then add a little leaf over here. Let's see. Y'all, these geranium petals, especially a red geranium, is so, they're almost like velvet in the way they feel. And so they look and feel very soft and velvety. So especially when you're doing red, don't shy away from using a lot of good deep red. I kind of like to pile on that paint, give it that lush texture just the same as it has, or not texture, but a lush actual depth, if that makes sense. That adds to the visual texture that you're creating or trying to emulate. All right, that's good for those guys. Let me get a little bit of the anther and the filament. Throw in some science words at y'all, some plant words. Those are the little parts where the pollen is, right? The reproduction part of the flower. Or the male reproduction parts. So I'm just going to do a quick little line or so in here. 1, 2, very subtle, 3, 4, kind of like that. And since this one is pretty bloomed out, they're on their way out, they're a very dark color. So I'm actually just going to use a little bit of that green and red that we had mixed, that neutral, just to give that idea on there. I'm just going to barely touch it. So I'm going to hold my wrist like this, and then I'm just going to go touch, touch, touch where I want it to be so that I don't overpower it. There we go. And actually, now that I'm looking, there was one right here on this guy too, so we'll add him in. All right, leaf over here. Let's do it, y'all. I have faith in us. Thank you, Alice. I'm glad you're enjoying it. All right, so back to those greens we mixed earlier, y'all, and I'm gonna do a great leaf shape. These leaves are so fun. I'm gonna do him, let's see, I'll put him up like this, right here. Since it's coming out from this, it's going to be like it's coming out like this. So I'm going to lay it flat like this so I can see it well. Can y'all see that kind of? Okay. Using my greens, get a little water on it so it'll be nice and liquidy to draw with really fast. And it's got 1 big, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back around. So it's coming out this way, and he's gonna go, there's the center, he's coming 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, here, and this guy there. All right, this is a very basic beginner shape. I'll turn you, whoops, that's my thumb, sorry y'all. All right, since we're running a little bit out of time, not really running out of time, but just getting low, I'm going to paint this in with a bigger brush. Where's my baby? This is, and I say bigger brush, somebody who paints is probably like, that's hysterical. This is still a pretty small brush, but this is my trusty leaf maker, if you will. All right, just get this color in here, filling it in. I love this brush because when you turn it, you can stay perfectly within that line that you've already made. And just like when I'm drawing with colored pencils or painting with watercolors, I like my strokes to match the way that the curve goes. Now this has more of a scalloped edge than I created, so I'm going to go back in and add that really fast using the point. If I run out of time, I hope that everybody has a wonderful holiday weekend. Enjoy time with your family and your loved ones as you safely can. Thank you for tuning in today. And please tune in next weekend here on Instagram, 10 o'clock, for Tony, when she will be our featured live artist on Local Artist Live. I've enjoyed everybody so much today. Thank you for being here. How do we feel about that? I like that. My focus is my flowers. My leaf is a little wonky, but you can tell that it's a geranium leaf. And that's what I'm going for with accuracy. Thank you everybody so much. Let me say my goodbyes up here. My face, y'all, is so red. I look like I've been working out and all I've been doing is painting. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. Cheryl, please post a picture of that peach blueberry cobbler. I can't wait to see it. I bet it's delicious. Everybody enjoy your family time. See y'all next time. Have a great day. Happy 4th of July. Thank you so much.